Hey there, hopefuls, and welcome back to another episode of the Hopeful Simplicity Podcast. I am Melissa, your host, and today we're talking about small spaces. And I don't mean small spaces as we normally refer to them, like the small spaces of your living room or the small spaces of your bathroom, but I mean physically small, seemingly tiny spaces. So a bathroom drawer, a tiny wall shelf, even parts of the linen closet can feel small. And those are the small spaces I want to talk about today because how do you organize them? How do I organize a space that feels so small, maybe it's not even worth my attention? Bathrooms, linen closets, tiny shelves, they don't give us much room to work with, which makes clutter feel even bigger. But with the right strategies, you can make the most of every available inch. So in this episode, we're going to share how to organize some of those tight spaces with simple systems that can work in real life. So let's just get into it with small space struggle. It's a real struggle. Why is it hard? Because when you have less space, you have less margin for stuff. You have more room for clutter, which is not ideal, which is not why we're here. But if you have less space, you get to have less stuff. So if you're trying to take the large box and fit it into a small box space, it's not going to work. So when that window is being used, not wrong, but could be used better, that's a big struggle. Because in our brains, we're like, well, this is the linen closet. These are all my linens. It has to go here. So the struggle, accepting the limit of size that there is, accepting that maybe you do have too much stuff and it is time to do a hard and fast declutter section. You're supposed to set that timer for 15 minutes and start simplifying. And don't justify keeping the stuff. Especially if you're like, I can cram it in there or I can keep it, but I'll put it somewhere else. If you have to justify keeping things, you don't need it. So the less stuff we have, the space struggle is decreased. That margin of frustration is lessened because we're not overstuffing those spaces. And when you overstuff spaces, not only are you frustrated, you have the clutter you're working through and you have all these things that you're dealing with. Bonus, now you're more stressed out. That is the last thing anyone needs at all for any purpose. And right now we're talking about clutter and dealing with it. And if you're in the space every single day, if you're dealing with a small drawer in your bathroom vanity space and it is packed in there, but you know your makeup and hair products are in there and you have to get those every single day to get ready for work or get ready for a weekend or get whatever. Oh, right? That's making me stressed for you. Because so much stuff is crammed in there. It's not just clutter. It's mental clutter. It's physical clutter. It's stress and anxiety and reasons to just change it, fix it, declutter it, reorganize it, and make it better. Overstuffing those spaces is not going to be helpful. Lacking smarter systems that work for you is not going to be helpful. So if we reframe limiting the space, finding clarity for what we actually need, that is a great way to take that small space struggle and make it a little more hopeful and a little more manageable on the day-to-day life. If your small spaces overwhelm you, go ahead and click the link in the show notes and start your free subscription to the Hopeful Simplicity Library. It is a place of not just resources, it's got guided audio tools. It's got member resources and it comes with a chat group. So if you've got questions, you need encouragement, you want to share your wins, all those things are available and you get it for a 30-day free trial. A bonus, it's perfect when you're starting to tackle these small spaces and they come with struggles and you need some guidance and encouragement. We always start with simplifying. It is the first part of the 3S method because you have to get rid of the things that are not serving your current lives. You're going to look for those expired, outgrown, unused items, but we aren't going to organize clutter. We're not going to move clutter from here to there to here to here to here. We're going to simplify it first. We're going to get rid of it. We are going to either get rid of it by donating, by trash, by rehoming. So like we were just talking about with the drawer, the tiny drawer in the bathroom, if you got your hair and makeup products in there, maybe something needs to be rehomed. Maybe the makeup needs to be rehomed to a container under the sink instead of in the drawer. Those are the things that are essential first steps to getting organized, is to declutter, is to simplify your spaces. Whether they're big spaces or small spaces, this episode we're talking about those small spaces and the extra stresses that they can bring to any environment. We declutter it. Those small spaces that we just cram more stuff into, we have to declutter. Because then that space is going to open up naturally before organizing even gets started. Because we're only keeping the essentials. We're only keeping what's serving us. And if we limit our allowance and acceptance for products that we don't use to be gone, we've limited the overconsumption turning into clutter and taking over our spaces, especially those small spaces. If that space is small and you've packed what's in there full of stress and clutter, that's not worth it. If that space is small and you've only kept what's essential and what you need and what you actually use in there, it's a little more doable. It's a lot more hopeful. And we're respecting the limits of the container. Now, I know it's an object. It's a drawer, Melissa. It doesn't have feelings. But if you acknowledge it as a tool that serves your current life, it's like a support system to make you happier, you less stressful, and you more productive. Bonus, you're going to save time and money and frustrations. Okay. You're respecting the container. That container is going to serve you to the best of its ability. That container being an actual container, a bin, a basket, a drawer, a shelf, whatever, you're expecting it to be out of its limits. It's not going to work. But if you are respecting its limits, it's going to serve you better. Just like anything that you use it to its full potential. Unless you're an underpaid employee, then work at your pay limit. But those are the things that maybe we just don't even see the space. We're like, oh, this space is small and it's frustrating and it's a struggle. Or this space is small, I'm only going to keep what I need in it and go from there. That way it's working for me. It's mine. I'm in charge. Because honestly, you're managing all the spaces and the things and all the stuff. You are the CEO, home manager, boss babe, whatever hat, title, crown you want to wear, it's yours. So use the tools available to the best of their potential to make these spaces work better for you. And you're letting go of all those extras. You're decluttering all those extras. You're getting rid and releasing all the things that are not serving you. Now, I understand you'd be like, Melissa, I don't need to keep the lotion because it's summertime and I only use that in the winter. This is not serving me. Okay, then rehome it. Where do you shop from in your house to fill that small space? Because right now that small space has your winter lotion. We're moving into summer. It's going to have the sunscreen instead. So where do you swap it to? So the small space can still be successful. It can still serve you. It can still maximize its potential within its limits of being the container that it is, but not be crammed full of everything you need for the whole year. I think often we get stuck in this is where it lives, so everything has to be there. But don't forget that you have the ability and power and probably set up to rotate things. Even if it's lotion for sunscreen, swimsuits for winter coats, hat and mittens for sunglasses and hats. In all the various places of your home, we're talking bathrooms this season, things are rotatable that can help simplify spaces for the day-to-day process. And then in the 6 months when we check in, you can rotate things back. The sunscreen gets put away or trashed if it's an empty bottle, and then the lotion gets restored to the current small space that you're struggling with because it's keeping everything. But if you're simplifying it to only what serves us right now, in this period, in this season, in this phase, what's going to serve us? Oh, this. So we're going to rehome those to the winter box. We're going to rehome that to the seasonal box. We're going to rehome that to the container we have on the top shelf of the linen closet. And then when the kids go back to school and we reset this space in the fall, then I'll swap them back out. Because you're releasing the extras from the space so you can maximize the area. You can find more success because you've simplified out what doesn't serve you. And then we can move into the organizing. And we can move into the organizing a smart, better way because you want systems that actually work for you. It doesn't matter what I think is best. It doesn't matter what your mama thinks best. It doesn't matter what your best friend does at her house. What's going to work for you? If you need a drawer where you just literally wipe kitchen counter style wise, take your arm and go whoosh across the top of the vanity in the bathroom and everything that goes on there falls into the drawer because you just take the drawer out, you dump all your makeup out in the mornings, you get ready, and then you one arm sweep it and put it away at the evening. Fine. Do that. Because the systems that you're organizing, you're sorting for your success. Remember, it's all based on what's going to work for you. What works for you may not work for me. What works for me probably won't work for you. These are the things that I want you to keep in mind because you're going to organize a smart, hopeful sorts of ways. So if you need to maximize the drawers as one drop systems, do that. If you need to put dividers in the drawer because more than one person's stuff is going to live in there, do that. And don't be afraid to use a vertical space if you have it. Often we get stuck in what we're sold and we don't see a space for its potential. So if you've got a cabinet, let's say you have one of those cabinets over the toilet and it's got one of those 2-door systems, maybe a couple drawers and a shelf. Could you put a riser inside the cabinet and double your space? Even if you put a riser in there and get a dollar store stop dish container that can slide under that riser, did you just double your space? Because we don't think of it. We're like, oh, this has one space, I'll get one container. Or are you using the vertical area as much as you can? Especially if you're tight on space. If you feel like my bathroom is super small, every spot is a small space, and every spot is a struggle. Is it? Or are we not seeing potential that may be there? And don't forget when you're organizing, as you're sorting, keep in mind styles. Keep in mind, what do you need? What is the compromise if you're not the only one in this space? So we often tend to lean towards, so if you're not the only one in the bathroom space, which you probably aren't if you have a family, you've got to lean toward those organizing persons that need a clear option, that need a giant label, that need this is obvious. Example being, we have an over the toilet shelf. It's a shelf with like probably 5-6 inch tall doors and then 4 small drawers, and it's got a bar for the towel. Inside those drawers you will find foot spray, like odor eater type foot spray. You'll find cotton balls, you'll find Q-tips. Yeah, I think the other drawer may be empty because we just don't need it. Everything else is in the door part. My meds and then like the overflow toilet paper is all in the door part. So you don't have to use space. You don't have to fill every little spot. But the example is, we used to keep cotton balls and Q-tips in one drawer. Just kind of toss them in there. Because my son is a macro organizer. Just one and go. Just drop it and go. Move on. I'm very micro organized, but I know if it's set up for his success, we're all going to be more successful. Because I'm not about to follow him around anymore. Especially now. He's almost an adult. The following around, more steps, resentful feelings, those are things we're trying to avoid when we're setting up successful and smart organizing systems. So that example is, we had Q-tips and cotton balls in one of those small drawers together. It wasn't broken, but over time I was done. I hate digging for things. This is very micro-organizing of me. I want to find things in one grab. I want to open it, find it, there, done. I don't want to look through something. Even something as small as you just literally had to reach under the cotton balls to grab a Q-tip. It wasn't working for me at 5:30 in the morning. I need a more one and go system. I don't want to look for it. Other things, fine. But for some reason that wasn't working. So I moved it to one drawer being cotton balls and one drawer being Q-tips. However, I did not update the label. Come the weekly reset, where things get refilled, just happened to be the week he was doing it. Guess what happened? You got it. You were exactly right. All the Q-tips and cotton balls went to the drawer that had been being used. And I'm like, what on earth? Why can't you just put it? This is how we've had it for a week. He's like, because the label still says this. So I didn't know if you wanted to go backwards or forward. So I just went with what it has been longer than the last week, and the label wasn't updated. Oh, well, that's on me. I'm sorry. Because it wasn't a smart system. It was a reactive switch that wasn't clearly labeled. It has since been corrected. I just ripped the label off, not gonna lie. And now they're still separated. But those are the things you gotta think. You gotta think, what are they gonna think? And I know part of you just went, well, why can't they think, what am I gonna think? Because they're not the ones following us around fixing it. Because it doesn't bother them. Because unless you are nagging 15,000 bazillion times a day, they don't care. It's not that they don't want you to be unhappy. And it has nothing to do with your feelings. It just is like, because that's not what the label says. Why? Because you're going to follow me around and put it away correctly anyway. So why am I even bothering trying to read your mind? That was on me. I didn't label it. And that's just what it was. But if I'm setting it up in too many steps, unlabeled items, solid colored bins that aren't labeled, if I'm switching systems in my brain, what is store pretty Pinterest perfection, and I love it, that's not a smart system. That's not a successful system for our family. So as you're sorting and you're organizing these, I want you to keep in mind the styles. Like we were saying, if it's a macro system, it's a drop and go system. You're going to try to avoid a lot of drawers. You're going to try to avoid a lot of bins with lids. If they're visual, you better look for those clear essence types containers instead of the solid cloth ones. Especially the solid cloth ones with lids, you can't even see what's inside. Okay, well, the systems that are currently failing you, the ones where we have these things with lids on them, but why do they set the hairspray on top of the container instead of putting it inside? Because it's too many steps to put away. And if you're not sure, try it. Try it. If you have a whole bunch of shoe containers, you've been using them to organize under your sink, and you find that things are going on top of or next to, it's too many steps to put it away. Just take the lids off. Get some of those risers so you can still use the containers as they are. These are baby step processes at times, especially if things have been a certain way for a while. I know all the hair stuff's together. I know all the face stuff's together. I know the dental hygiene things are together. We've kept those like together. The system just isn't working well. Slowly change it. Get some risers. Keep the containers where they are. Just take the lids off. Make sure the containers are labeled. Make sure like with like is inside those. Hair products is a great label. It's no confusion. If you've used it in your hair or head, it goes in that box. If you use it on your face, it goes in this box. If it's something in your mouth, it goes in this box. It has to be clearly labeled, and you have to make sure that you're flexible with the systems, because you're organizing a smart and hopeful way means, okay, I'm going to try this. It doesn't have to stay, and if it doesn't work, it does not revert back to me just following everybody around and putting things away. It does not go backwards to me being resentful and angry because my family won't just get on board for this organizing system. You have to be flexible in the idea of, we're going to try it. We're going to read the signs if it's not working and adjust. Let's hit pause for just a second. Not even pause. Let's just take a little break. Because what is one space, one small space in the bathroom that stresses you out? That's the space we're committing to this week to clearing and organizing. After we've decluttered, we've simplified the spaces, we've gotten rid of stuff that doesn't serve us, we've organized it based on styles in a smart, successful way for our family. We want to keep it that way. We want to make sure that we're managing this space, because too often the misconception of organized and done is thrown out there. But organized and done is not a reality for pretty much any stage, because things are always coming and going. When the shampoo bottle is empty, you're going to replace it. When your hairdryer breaks, you're going to replace it. When the razor is dull, you're going to replace it. So those in and out things are happening. So you can't just be organized and it's done. You can have smart systems that work. You can know your organizing style. You can have sustainable steps in place to make sure clutter stays away, to make sure your spaces are managed better, more successful, less stressful. And those things are part of the 3S method. And that's an essential part of it. It was important to me when we created the method that, okay, yeah, you decluttered. Check. You got rid of stuff that's not serving you. Okay, you organized it so you can know where things are. but now what? And that sustaining step was an essential build into the method because we want to keep things going that way. We want to have sustaining as a managing stuff support system with rotating items, with cleaning steps, with habits and chores and routines and maintenance. And our reminder, sustaining that step, that third part of the 3S method, we look for habits and routines that we do on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly basis, as well as the rules we have in place, the 6-month check-in rotations that we have in place. Those are all part of this 3S sustaining step method, from cleaning the bathrooms to having a 1-in, 1-out rule when you're shopping, to having your 6-month check-in being like, oh, is anything in here that needs to be decluttered? Oh, does this system work or could it be working better? That's part of the sustaining step because you're managing the space. You're not done. You may have organized that space today, but we want to maintain it. We want to sustain an organized life, and we do that with these things. So maybe every single day you wipe down the vanity. Every single day you make sure the stuff goes back into the drawer where it goes. You do your 1-arm sweep across the vanity and swipe everything into the top drawer. That's just part of it. That's part of the routines and management part. The 1-in, 1-out rule. Okay, the shampoo is on sale, but I don't need 2 bottles. I'm only going to have my one coming in because the one hasn't moved out yet. I may have pulled from the back stock under the sink, put it in the shower because my old bottle got trashed, and so I need to fill up my back stock space. That's your 1-out. Your 1-out is already gone. Your 1-in is coming in, but you don't need 2. Those are the rules and things we need in place. So you can keep it clean. You like the vanity without water spots. You make sure stuff gets put away. You have rules in place where you have 1-in, 1-out. You make sure that every week you just do a reset or refill. That's maybe where the shampoo moved from under the sink to the shower. Maybe the toilet papers got refilled, so when you're sitting there, you don't have to worry about anything. Those weekly habits and checks are what build the sustainable steps. When you do the seasonal rotation, so in 6 months from now, when you're swapping out the sunscreen for the winter lotion, that's part of it, because now you have that rotation built into your manageable schedule. You have those steps built in, and when you're doing those 6 months, Tuesday, set a timer for 15 minutes and do a hard and fast declutter through each small space of the bathroom. Wednesday, you do a hard and fast 15-minute check assessment. Is this space organized for our success? Have we had any problems? Could it work better? Are we ready to get the fancy containers? Because we know this system works. We know we have a smart, organized spot that has been functional, that has been working, that has been less stressful. Now I can get the pretty containers that match my room. Winning. I mean, once you've built the clarity and the organized systems and the spaces that work, you can do whatever you want because you know it works. You know you're not going to go spend $20 on a container and hope it works, and then in 2 weeks you're pissed off. Because not only does it not work, you wasted your money, and now what am I going to do with it? Now you have a whole garage full of container clutter. We're not going there. But you know what I mean? Like, those are part of it. When you hit that 6-month part, when you do your monthly check-in, when you're doing okay, everything gets pulled out from under the sink, I give it a good wipe down and everything gets put back. Oh, let me just straighten that label while it's here. You know what? This has really worked the last couple months. I'm going to go ahead, since it's nearly back to school season, get the fancy containers I like because I saw them on sale. That's fine because you know it works. That could be part of your systems. That could be part of your habits and your sustaining steps. Once a year, you may have the plumber come out. Just make sure the commode and under the sink pipes are no issues, no concerns. Everything's tight, nothing's leaking, nothing's a problem. But those are the steps that are essential to not just keeping the clutter away and sustaining organized spaces, but making it manageable, making it less of your day-to-day overwhelmed, overloaded. I can't take one more brain thing because now it's manageable. Now it's working. Now it's just systems that are successful. It's like brushing your teeth. You probably really don't put a lot of thought and effort into it. Probably don't have to tell yourself like you did your 4-year-old, okay, self, Don't forget to brush your teeth. So pull the toothbrush out, grab the toothpaste, put the toothpaste on the thing, wet it if you want to, put everything back when you're done. Brush up, brush up, brush up. You don't have to do those things because it's just the way of life. And once you've got the 3S method in place, you've got all the sustaining steps in place. You know that you're comfortable on decluttering, and you are very good at your organizing style and setting things up in a smart, successful way. Keeping it that way, that's just your managing assistant. The method is here to just remind you, okay, what are your rules so clutter doesn't come back in? What are your habits and maintenance steps in place and scheduled? And scheduled being key here. You can't just be like, okay, well, once a week we're going to clean the bathrooms, and then nothing happens. You may not have to have it on your calendar because you're so far into it that it just kind of happens. But if you're not, don't hesitate putting something on a calendar. Don't shy away from using a notification to do app on your phone. If you need something to ding at you to remind you to do something, do that. And then over time, in 6 months, when you're checking back in, you'll be like, no, I'm good. I don't need this. Delete it. Guess what? You just decluttered part of the problems on your phone. Some of your mental distractions even. Some of those things are just part of managing and keeping an organized life. And then you can sit back and enjoy the clarity and less stress living that you've accomplished and continue on the day-to-day of being hopeful and organized. Small spaces, they can work beautifully when you respect their limits and your limit too. By simplifying, sorting, and sustaining a space, even those little ones, they can feel calm. Next episode, we're going to talk about how to stop buying more stuff. So if you want me to address something specific, don't hesitate to use the text and voicemail option on the podcast player and let me know. I'll try to cover it. The clutter before it even enters your home, that's going to be the focus next episode. So while you're here, don't forget to grab the Core 4 Declutter Challenge and start your free trial to the Hopeful Simplicity Library. All the links are in the show notes. And until next time, stay hopeful.